Across the ice belt, there are times when walleye turn up their noses at classic presentations. Whether their fickle mood is due to weather conditions, fishing pressure, or other factors, knowing how to adjust your tactics is key to catching fish while other anglers give up and go home. Up next, Jon shows us how a slow hand and small spoons can help you beat a tough bite.
There he is. Come on in here. Come on. Can't tell if he's looking at the bobber rod. Oh, there he is. I knew he was here. You know, sometimes you see a fish and he's actually looking at that bobber rod, and they'll kind of mix you up sometimes. But this guy here, he came in, he looked, and then he kind of disappeared. He's hung up on the bottom of the ice. Oh, there we got him. Whew, that was close. This is one of those times where that fish came up, and when I turned them, you know, they make that last turn, and he got turned just like this on the ice, and that's when you can lose a lot of them. One of the things you can do there is just give him that slight amount of slack. Can't give it to him for long, but just that little bit, because it'll give him that one little kick. And that guy made that one little kick. Unfortunately, you can see there, he stayed hooked up. That frosty kept him hung up. But boy, I'll tell you what, sometimes you lose a lot of fish right there. One of the neat things about what I'm doing here too is a lot of times we talk about spots on a spot. Let me tell you what I'm fishing right now. I'm fishing a spot just off of a spot. Let me explain to you why. We're sitting here in a situation where it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and pretty quick these fish, they're all going to start rolling up on structures and eating. But what they often do is before they get there, they kind of get together, and they'll come from all different directions, all different areas where they've been resting, and they'll congregate together, because when they go up and feed, they feed together, because what that'll allow them to do is really corner the minnows. So what you want to do is try to pick the spot where you think it's going to be an alley going up onto that structure. And a lot of times that might just be a gradual drop on a spot where it's steep all around it. And that's exactly what we're fishing right now. There's just a little runway for these fish. So I'm just out off that edge, counting on all these fish congregating right here. And eventually they're going to barrel up there, and the big bite's going to happen up there on top. But I don't want to waste away my afternoon hours waiting for that 4:30, 5 o'clock bite. I want to be able to get them throughout the day. So if you start out here on that runway, a lot of times you can pick them off before they get up there to start eating. Let's get back down there because there's plenty of fish here. There he is. Oh, that one feels like a better fish. Boy, I'll tell you, this shallow water is so fun. Oh yeah, that is a better fish. In fact, let's see here. Let's get that out of there. Come on, buddy. Oh yeah, look at that one. Oh, look at that fish right there. That right there is just flat out fun. And I'll tell you, this guy came in, and it happens so fast when you're on these runways, because these fish, when they come in, they're on the move, and they're going to scoot right by you if you don't start moving that jig. And this fish, he came in, and I saw him for just a split second, and I had just a second to pound that jig, but boy, he zeroed right in on this thing and just nailed it. Look at that. Man, that is a fun fish to catch. Hang on here, buddy. We'll get you unhooked and get you back in the water. Guy got stuck pretty good. Look at that fish. Man, that is just a lot of fun right there. Let's get this guy back. Look at that. Get out of here, buddy. When you have a fish come railing in like that and smack that thing, because when you set the hook, you know the difference. You know the difference between the eaters we've caught and that fish right away. One of the things that I want to show you, though, that I think makes such a huge difference is using different size baits. And a lot of times I think the biggest mistake an angler can make, and I've made the mistake a million times over, is thinking, you know, I'm out here to fish walleyes today, and I'm fishing bigger walleyes, and what I'm going to use is a bigger bait. Let me show you what I'm using. I'm just using a 16th ounce frosty jig, and it's actually the jigging spoon. And when you look at that treble hook, I mean, that's a small little treble hook, but here's why I'm doing this. We're coming off a cold front. Now it's warming up, it's getting a little bit better, but the bite has been a little bit off. So downsizing can make such a big difference difference. Because what happens is when they get in those cold fronts, everything slows down and they'll grab those smaller minnows versus chasing those bigger minnows that can move faster and roam more. They'll just kind of get selective in grabbing whatever's around them, and a lot of times that's a smaller bait. So if you look at what I'm using today, just that 16th ounce spoon, fishing this shallow water on this lip coming up. It's plenty of weight to get down there. I'm just putting a minnow head on there, and I'm just using a fat head, and all I'm doing is pinching off that minnow. One last thing is pay attention to how you pinch off that minnow. Today I've been pinching it right off behind the gills. Some days you'll want to give it more, you'll want to go half a minnow, but today it seems like that smaller little piece along with that smaller jig is making all the difference. This frosty jigging spoon that I'm using tonight is just one of my favorite spoons, and I'll tell you why. All said and done, it catches every species because it comes in a whole variety of sizes and colors. So whether you're crappie fishing, you're bluegill fishing, walleye, trout, pike, whatever it may be, there's a frosty jigging spoon that's the right size and the right fit for whatever you're looking for. Dirty water, clean water. You look at a night like tonight, you don't ever want to overlook the fact that there are times when you can be fishing walleyes and the smallest possible size is the most important thing of the day. And then there might also be a day where you want that biggest size. So all said and done, I'll switch different sizes, switch different colors before I ever go to switching to another spoon on a day when I've gotten a couple fish on it to start. It's a great spoon for pretty much any situation. There he is. Oh yeah, that one feels like a pretty good one too. Bobber's gone too. Let's see if I got the bobber line. Nope, I don't. Look at that. Bobber's down as well. Let's lay that guy right there and see if we can get this fish too. Nope, missed that one. That's all right, because you know what? That one right there finishes off a great afternoon on the ice, and I'll tell you, this is really, really accessible because most of the time when you show up on a spot like this, most of the other anglers are thinking about being up on top and catching that bite when they all get up on top to feed. But what you got to know is they'll feed all the way up there and they get here a lot earlier. So if I can pick them off on a spot like this before they get up there, it's a bonus for me because the bottom line is there's less fish getting up there for those other guys and I got a pail full of fish. That's an awesome way to finish our day.